So after lists, let's move on to tuples. Okay, tuples are similar to lists, but there are a few differences as well. For example, tuples are immutable, lists are mutable. What does that mean? That the elements of a tuple cannot be changed, whereas list elements can be changed, and we saw how to change them. A tuple is created using round brackets, and we remembered that we created lists with the use of rectangular brackets. Now let's open Python and dive into the world of tuples. Okay, so we are back to Spider. Okay, we are going to study about tuples. Okay, let's start with creating tuples. Okay, let's make a blank tuple. A tuple, as I said, is defined by round brackets. Okay, now this is a blank tuple. Okay, if I print it and if I print its type, Python will tell us that it's a tuple. First, obviously, it'll ask me to save the file. Now I'm gonna just save the file. So I save this and I run it, and here it's printing a blank tuple here, and the type is a class of type tuple. Okay. Now let's make a tuple with integers. There. So I've added these few integers. Okay. I'm gonna now make a mixed tuple. Okay. It'll have mixed data types. Okay. So b is equal to 1 comma hello comma 4. Okay. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to print both of them, print A, print B. There you go. So it's printing out the tuples and it's accepting it as well. Also, I can add any kind of a data type to a tuple. So a tuple with lists. Let's try that. So C is equal to 15 hello and a list of say my age and my family members' age and maybe children's age, something like that. Okay, so this is a list. Okay, so if I print C, it's gonna print it as it is. So there you go. So this is a tuple with lists inside, a mixed tuple again. Okay, now let's look at how to unpack a tuple. So if you have defined a tuple and you want to put all those values in a variable, okay, you can index a tuple variables just like you would do to a list. Okay, for example, a sample tuple sample is equal to 1, 2 and 3. Oh sorry, I made a list here. Round brackets 1, 2, 3. Okay, and A is equal to sample 0, B is equal to sample 1 and C is equal to sample 2. Isn't this just like this? Right? Okay, so if I can just print A, print B and print C, it's gonna print 1, 2 and 3. There you go. Right? But this is the long cut of unpacking a tuple. Okay, there's a shorter method of unpacking a tuple. Shortcut. Let's take a look at that. Okay, so in that same tuple, which is sample, okay, what I'm going to do, A comma B comma C is equal to sample That's it. Now if I do print A, print B, sorry about that, print C, is gonna still give me the same output. There you go, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2 and 3. So let me just print here just for bifurcation shortcut 1, 2, 3. So basically what I've done is, if I know the number of variables of a tuple, okay, I can just define them with the help of commas, and then using the equal to sign, I can assign a tuple to them, and each value will go to each variable that is defined earlier. So A will be the first value, B will be the second value, and C will be the third value if I assign this sample tuple with 3 values to A, B, C. So that is what is happening here. The only thing that you need to remember here is that the number of variables that you define here should be equal to the number of elements of the tuple. If you know that, you're good. Now, what we also did here when we did sample 0, sample 1 and sample 2 was that we also did indexing a tuple, just like we did that of lists. So in this tuple, the first, second and third elements have got the indexes 0, 1 and 2. And that is how we assign the elements A, B and C to these indexes. So we've done indexing. Now let's say that there is a tuple of only one element. How will you define that? You can define a tuple with one element with a comma in it. Okay. So let's say there's a tuple called a single tuple. Okay. I will define that with one comma. So if there's just one element in a tuple, I have to add a comma to it. Okay. So that's one thing you need to remember. For a tuple with a single element, you must add a comma after that element. So this was one thing that you have to remember. Okay, now let's look at a nested couple. Now, nested tuple. Sorry, I said couple. Okay, so first let me just type the heading name, nested tuple. Okay, now what we are going to do is, let's create a tuple T is equal to a tuple of two lists. Okay, 1, 2, 3, comma 9, 8, 7. There you go. Now if I were to print T0, what do you think will be the output? Okay, now before I run this program, I want you to pause this video and think for yourself what the output should be, and then unpause it. What I'll do instead is, I'll wait for 5 seconds and then I will continue the video. Okay, so I'm just going to run this value here. Okay, and let's see what I get. So if I do T0, I'm going to get the first list, that is 1, 2 and 3. If I do T1, I'm going to get the second list, that is T987. There you go, 987, right? So now just think that if I do T1 and if I do 0, what do you think the output is going to be? Again, if you like, pause the video, think for a bit and then continue. What I'm going to do is I'm going to wait for 5 seconds and then I'm going to play this. I'm going to run this code. Okay, so I'm running the code. What I'm getting is, if I do T1, okay, so it is going to go to the second list, okay, and then the 0 is going to go to the 0th element, that is the first element of the second list. So it's going to print 9. That's what it did. Similarly, if I print T0 out here and if I were to take 1 out here, it will go to the first list, okay, which is the 0th index, okay, and then it's going to go to the second element of the first list, okay, which is the index 1, okay, so 0, 1 and 2. This is how the inner elements of this list are indexed, okay. So if I do 1, it's going to print 2, okay. So let me run this nested tuple and the value is 2, correct. So this is about nested tuples and how you access it just like a list, okay. Similarly, let us slice a tuple, okay, and you will realize that slicing a tuple is very similar to a list. So let me make a tuple j is equal to, okay, and let me give it a series of numbers 1 comma 3 comma 5 comma 7 comma 9 comma 2 4 6 8. Okay, so this is the tuple, okay, this is the word tuple that is there. Now I want to slice it, okay. I want to print the 4th to 7th element of this tuple, okay. So if I want to print the 4th to 7th elements, okay, what are the indexes? The index starts from 0, okay, so this is 0, 1, 2, 3. So the 4th element is 7, whose index is 3, okay, and I want to print the 7th element, so 4, 5, 6. So the 7th element has index 6, okay. So just like a list, I can slice this tuple. Just so if I do print into brackets j rectangular brackets 4, because that's where you only start, and 7, 4 to 7. What this is going to do is this is going to print all the values between index 4 and index 7. Index 4 is index 3, my bad, 3 to 7. Index 3 is the 4th element, okay, 0, 1, 2, 3. Index 7 is the 8th element, okay. So what it does, what 3 to 7 does is it will print the 4th to 7th element of the tuple. So 7, 9, 2, 4. There you go. That's the answer, right? 4, 5, 6, 7. So always remember that it will print the 3rd index to the 7th index, 6th index. So when you do 3 to 7, the 3rd index is included and the 7th index is excluded. So it will actually print 3, 4, 5, 6. That's what it does. Okay. So this is how you slice a tuple, just like how you slice a list. Okay. Now let's do one thing. Let's try changing an element of a tuple. Okay. So okay, this section of our life was called slicing a tuple. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is print changing an element of a tuple. Okay. So if you remember in list, you could just change an element very simply. So let's say there's a tuple, okay, 1, 2, 5, okay, and there's a list, okay, which is 1, 2, 5, okay. Now if I want to change the middle element, okay, all I need to do is for a list, okay, all I have to do is go in B2, B1, okay, 1 is the second element, that's why B1 is equal to 6, okay. Now if I do print B, okay, wait, let me do changing the list B, Okay, now if I print B, I'll get 165. Okay, now if I do print, changing the tuple A, okay, if I try to do the same thing, B1, A1 is equal to 6, okay, and then if I do print bracket A, do you think it's gonna happen? No. Why? Because the tuple object does not support item assignment. Why? Because tuples are immutable. So, changing a tuple is not an option because it's gonna show you an error. Why? Since I told you in the start, tuples are immutable. Right? So now, we have proved that changing an element of a tuple not acceptable. Okay. Now, what if there is a list inside a tuple? Okay, lists are mutable, but tuples are not mutable. So, if there is a list inside a tuple, okay, you can change an element of the list. So, if there is a list inside a tuple, you can change an element of the list. Okay, so how do we do that? Let us take our nice tuple T from here. Okay, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to copy it and I'm going to paste it here. It's a tuple of two lists. Okay, now I want to change the middle value of list 1, okay, of the first list. Okay, change middle value of first list to 10. Okay, how do I do that? It's as simple as earlier. I have to go in the assignment operator. I have to choose the list, so that is list 0. Then I have to choose the middle variable, which is 1. Okay, and I have to assign it a new value 10. Okay, now if I print T, it's gonna give me the changed value out here. Okay, so basically, if there is a list inside a tuple, okay, lists are mutable, so you can change an element of the list, which is an inner element of the tuple. Okay, so tuple per se is not changeable, but if there's a mutable object inside a tuple like a list, you can always change that value. Okay, so this was about that. Now let us do adding two tuples. Let's try this. Okay, let's take tuple 1, fruits is equal to apple, pear, oranges. Okay, tuple 2 is fruits 2 is equal to banana, watermelon, and pineapple. Now, let me make a new tuple, okay, fruits 3, which is equal to fruits 1, fruits plus fruits 2. Okay, now if I were to print fruits 3, it's gonna have added both the tuples. There you go. Fruits 3 is apple, pear, oranges, banana, watermelon, pineapple. Now the order of fruits 3 is such that fruits comes first, followed by fruits 2 components. Okay. So that is that. Now if I do multiplying a tuple, okay, so if I do fruits 4 is equal to fruits into 2, okay, what it'll do is it's gonna repeat the elements of the tuple 2 times, okay. So fruits 4 is apple, pear, oranges, apple, pear, oranges. So if I do this fruits into 3, it's gonna give me the elements 3 times, that is apple, pear, oranges, apple, pear, oranges, apple, pear, oranges, that way. So that's how the multiplication works, okay. So multiplying a tuple will repeat its element n number of times. There you go, okay. So that is that. Now you cannot delete any element of the tuple, okay, but you can delete an entire tuple. So I print deleting a tuple. Okay, now we've got fruits 4 out here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to del fruits 4. Okay. Okay. First I'm going to do print fruits 4. Okay, then I'm going to delete fruits 4 and then I'm going to print it again and let's see what happens. I get this error called fruits 4 is not defined. Okay. Now why does it say that fruit 4 is not defined? Let me remove this statement. Okay. Now let's see if I'm getting any error. No, the program runs without any error, which means that fruit 4 was here, which is apple, pear, oranges, apple, pear, oranges, apple, pear, oranges. Here it has deleted fruit 4. Okay. And then let it execute print deleted fruits 4. Okay, so now if I run this, it will again run without any error. Why? Because that tuple got deleted out here and then it moved on to this line for execution. So this is how you delete a tuple. Okay, so this was about basic tuple operations, basic things that you could do with a tuple. In our next video, we will talk about methods of a tuple. Okay, what methods are present in a tuple and how you can play with tuples. So see you in the next video.